Hello,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
Your name is Emmerita.
Yes.
Emmerita Ambata.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so there's two things I usually like asking if I meet someone for the first time.
Yeah.
It's like, what is your favorite book, and who is your, how can I put this, role model or someone that you admire, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this
In general.
just in general?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start with the person I admire the
Okay.
most. Is Ali Abdal.
Ali Abdal.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
okay.
a productivity YouTuber,
Yeah.
and I admire him because he is such a knowledgeable person and someone I aspire to be. He's free. Like his journey started from medical school, and then he became a YouTuber full time. So that's something like I admire in people like pivoting in that way and making something of that pivot. Yeah. So favorite book would be I read a lot of books, so
Okay.
it's
You have to
either
pick one. If you had to pick just one book.
fiction or nonfiction.
Uh, let's say nonfiction, because fiction is it's a bit difficult to sort of like see why you choose that book.
Okay, so nonfiction would
Let's say
be
both fiction and nonfiction.
okay. So fiction is A Little Life by Hanya Yanakihara, and it follows the life of four friends as they grow up from university until their adult lives. I think until they're 60. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's really, yeah, it's an intense book, but it's also well written and, yes, more
Is it?
bricks.
What's the book's name? Little
A
Lies.
Little Life.
A Little Life.
Yeah.
Okay. A Little Life. And nonfiction.
Nonfiction, okay. Humankind by Rutger Bregman. So it just talks about humanity and our whole transition, like from decades ago, centuries ago. And I have not read it in a while,
Okay.
but I
Okay.
need to read it again. And yeah, it was a really good book for me. It had a lot of insights that are on my Notion. But yeah,
Okay. Okay. So Ali Abdal, I think I know a little bit. Ali Abdal is more on the productivity side of things. He
yeah,
likes productivity and stuff like that. The books, Little Life, I should check it out. I think I saw a piece of it somewhere. The other one, what did you say the book's name is?
Humankind
Humankind. So
by,
kind of like the journey of how humans started.
yes,
Was
yes,
was it the psychological side of it that interested
yes,
you?
yes, it
Is
does
it?
have psychological aspects. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I think what interested me about you is that you are a co-founder to Billet, which is a um, like a platform where people can sort of like showcase their skills. Kind of, I'm sure I'm not. That's not the full
Yes.
description. Yeah, but I think that I want to hear that side, the journey, how you started creating it, and what inspired you to create it, and also that you are a writer.
Yes.
You focus on writes fiction, I think. Yeah,
Fiction.
so I think I'd like to sort of like probe a little bit on those two things. I think for
Okay.
starters, what inspired you to sort of like delve into the startup phase?
Okay. What inspired me was I wanted to do something different in a sense. And also, it was life circumstances at the moment. So that was kind of the route that I felt I should go in because, yeah, I was kind of at a turning point in my life. And things weren't really going the way I thought they would go before that. And entrepreneurship seemed like the good route to go down. At the same time, I had also started freelancing. Yeah.
Okay. And was it what about what made you single out this specific thing? Because I know usually when you create a startup, there's a problem that sort of irks you, and then you try and fix that problem.
Yes.
Yeah. What singled you out on this specific problem?
Okay, so at the time, as I mentioned, I was freelancing, and I realized that in Namibia there's not a lot of remote work opportunities, or remote work wasn't really a thing. So, creating Billet was the way of championing the movement of remote work and making it stick now in the country. So, including that, we also wanted to start it. I'm not the only founder, by the way.
Okay,
I have
okay.
There were two co-founders, and now we are two only. Yes, me and Magnaim.
Okay.
Yes, and on top of the whole remote work movement, we also started it because we wanted to enable people to do what they love, to have that freedom and a platform to take a bet on themselves in their passions and their hobbies and actually make money from it and earn a living from that. Yeah.
And how do you go about? Because I'm sure a lot of people, um, encounter issues. So like this is a specific problem that you encountered, and but how do you go from that step? When it's just like an idea or a problem to actually taking the first step in doing the thing. Like was it? Um, is it in line with what you were studying or what you were pursuing, or is this like something totally different?
No, okay, I studied accounting,
Mm,
and
okay.
after that, I took a break because I was burned out, and I also had quite the rough last year in my now university career. At that point, I was questioning what I wanted to do, and also if the path I was going to take was going to be fulfilling for me, and if it was actually going to make me happy. So the idea was to go down the chartered accountant route and do that, but it was mostly driven by money and also status. And I felt like it was what I had to do given my academic success and expectations from people. So I decided to move on from that and take a gap year. And that was like a time of discovery for me. And by the time I started Billet, I was in a completely different place. I think I got some of the answers to the questions of what would make me happy, and it was partly helping people and also going down this road of starting a startup.
Okay.
Yeah,
What were those first steps? How
those.
did you I mean you've never coded before, you've never built something like this before, then how did you go from just the idea to like what were the actual first steps that you took? Did you ask a friend to help you? Did you research?
Okay, we were three at the time, three
Hmm.
co-founders, and we just sat down one day and we started planning out the business. We got a name, we got a mission, like we had loose values and what we wanted to do, and we just started working from there. It wasn't really a thing of we went to study first to understand how the startups work and whatnot. We just went into it, and I would recommend anyone doing anything to not put too much thought in the execution of it and rather just go for it. Yeah. But it depends on what you're doing. That's the thing now.
Yeah. Okay. What were any challenges that you encountered? I mean, in building it, because did all of you have the same skills? Did you all work on the same thing together? Especially if it's like if it's co-founders, it's, people have different ideas, different motivations, different things that different ways they do things. So how was the hierarchy in like three people working together? Like how did you manage that team?
Okay, so we all brought different skill sets to Billet. And how we managed that, I feel like we all found the pockets where we actually had the most expertise. So I naturally gravitated towards marketing because I wanted to build connections with users and also tailor our message so that people understand what we're actually trying to do. And Magnaim is one of the co-founders as well. She is more the techie person, and she naturally gravitated towards that as well. So it wasn't really a matter of one person delegating the task and choosing what everyone should do on the team. It was more of what would you like to do, what would make you happiest, and where do your existing skills actually, where can we put them to work?
Mm. Whenever I hear about like businesses and stuff like that, there's a few side of businesses that I think people struggle with. Obviously, the starting of it that can be a bit difficult, but once you like jump over that hurdle, I think the next thing is like how do you get it to people? How do you involve people in it? Like how do you expose it? Because you can have something good, but people don't know about it. you know. So basically, I think the marketing, or like, how do you bring it to the people, basically?
How do I bring it to people?
Yeah, if you, let's say you created this thing, which is a
Yeah.
startup, how do you expose it to people? You know, so that people know about it and actually get involved in it. You know, the networking side of it.
Okay, so that's something I actually figured out later in our career, in our journey.
Okay.
And that was 2 years, like almost 2 years after we started at this moment where I am right now. And it's a matter of, yeah, putting yourself out there and stepping outside of your comfort zone as well. Because right now we are doing as many networking events as possible. And that's how we're getting our message across. And that's how we're getting people to know us. Also, PR and being on social media as well, just showing a face behind Billet and not letting it be just stock images or any graphics, random graphics. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, so being on social media, trying to get in spaces where there's people, and then
Yes.
to present it to them. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Were there any challenges that you encountered during the whole startup phase?
Yes, many. Firstly, is being taken seriously
By who?
by most people
Okay.
because we're female founders. I'm a female founder, and it's quite rare here in Namibia. I don't think many people do start startups as females, and I would love for more females to actually branch into that world. And it's a male dominated world, so stepping into that, you have to know how to present yourself. And I don't know, there was just a bit of resistance in the beginning, but now I'm understanding the dynamics of that whole world and
Okay.
also how to better present myself and step up. Yes.
Being taken seriously, was that sort of like a challenge? Did you see it as a challenge that you needed to prove?
Yes, kind of.
Yeah.
Yes. Because, okay, first mistake in the beginning, I thought I needed to know everything. So it was really I'm going into a room like a networking event and I'm just having my walls up. Like no one can tell me any better than like what I know. And I learned over time that I need to actually make room for people to give me advice and also not feel weird about the advice or angry about the advice. And yeah, it was the whole learning.
As
And I'm still learning. I'm not like at the end of like my journey.
a
Yeah.
whole thing. Like, any other challenges you encountered?
Any other challenges would be support as well. Like most of the things in entrepreneurship and startup in the startup world, we had to learn it ourselves, and there wasn't really anyone there to guide us and mentor us. It's only now that I am actually taking those steps to find mentorship and to learn. So I learned most of the stuff online, and my knowledge is still lacking in some areas, but we're getting there eventually. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, that's good. That's good. How big of a effect you think money plays into starting stuff? Or is it not that big of a deal? Do you not need it as much? Or-
Yeah, it's a major pain point for most founders.
yeah.
For us, we are bootstrapped, and we were fortunate enough to have an advisor slash investor come on who covered all the financials in the early days of Billet. But now we're at a point where we are moving from the bootstrapping model to fundraising, so that's going to be an exciting journey.
Have you raised any, like, what are the available fundraising options one could look into if they're starting off?
Hmm. Okay, most commonly in Namibia, it's angel investing, I would say. That is one of the fundraising routes that I actually see that most businesses flock towards because it's available. I guess people also understand it better than this, yeah, than the traditional VC route. That is still something that has to open up in the country, and I'm not really, I'm not really cognizant of that whole world here in Namibia, but internationally I am. Yeah.
That's it. That's nice. Okay. Okay. All right. Angel investor, is it someone that has stakes in your company once they invest? Okay.
Yes,
They do.
they do have
They do.
stake in them.
And do you think it's a good idea if you're starting off to give um, someone like a portion of your company? Is that would you recommend that as a is it something someone can consider doing?
Yes, it is. Um, However, there are a lot of factors that go into play, especially like how much of the stake that do you give now to the person that's investing in your business. So it's just, I would advise anyone who wants to go that route to make sure that they cover all their bases and that they also understand what this means. Because someone having a stake in your business is not just you getting money to cover your operations, to expand your business. It's them being there as a decision maker as well, depending on your agreement. So having that person in your ear telling you what you need to do and how to grow this, it can be challenging for some people, but for others it might be a benefit. So yeah,
Okay.
just think about what it is actually going to mean for your business.
Mhm. Could you give us just like a quick rundown of what Billet is? Is it like if the person, let's say, I log onto the internet, like what happens? What
Okay.
happens there?
So our whole mission is to help people do what they love. And at the moment, as we are pivoting, and I can't really say much about that because we're growing and we're expanding and we're learning from our different experiments. But at the moment, we are helping students and graduates gain practical experience without taking on traditional internships. So we saw a gap in the internship area where people can now gain practical experience. They are limited in Namibia and Sub-Saharan Africa. So we decided to create internships at scale. So instead of just a couple of companies creating internships, we are going to blow up that whole segment or industry or market and create internships for anyone, regardless of their academic performance. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, about your writing, when was the first time? What inspired you to start writing? Like, how did you know that this is something that actually speaks to you?
So I started writing in university. It was more of an escape thing
Okay.
because I was tired of the whole writing exams, writing tests, and I'm in this accounting thing that's not really like making me feel alive. Yes. So I started writing um, then, and I don't recall what inspired me or why I started writing, but it was just, I felt like it was something I needed to do at the time as well. And I also wanted to understand myself and also heal. It was more writing to heal. So I wrote for a couple of years to heal. And it's only now that I'm actually out there and publishing work. Yes.
As in- Okay, so most of the writing comes from a place where it hurts, like a place of pain. So like so like a tool to release that. Is that what you're saying?
Not pain exactly, just
Big
an emotional release,
emotional
I
release.
guess.
No, but I think I understand because when I write and when you feel like it actually flows is when you're kind of in a state where it's not as smiley as often. So
Yes.
it's a bit of pressure and everything, and then when you start writing, it feels like uh, you're releasing that tension.
Yes.
That tension.
Yes.
What do you write about?
I write fiction. So I'm just going to walk you through the whole
Yeah.
journey. So initially, I started writing novels, and these were mostly contemporary romance novels. That's what I read most of the time. So I thought, why not do one? But it wasn't really set here in Namibia. I was at my early stages. So I thought everything should like model the US because I was reading a lot of US novels and narratives, and there wasn't actually any narratives from Namibian writers or Namibians that I benchmarked from. So I wrote a couple of novels, and they were all in that domain. And then at some point, I wanted to branch out and have people read my work. I worked with two beta readers on a novel I was writing. It was sci-fi. I'd never written sci-fi before, so it was a really new area for me. And yeah, that experience was kind of rough because I was new to writing, and the feedback I got wasn't great. So it just knocked me back a bit and made me feel like this wasn't something that I should be doing. So that setback, it was, yeah, it knocked my whole motivation and need to write just away. So instead of writing novels, I decided to go to short stories, just give that part a break. And that's where I'm writing mostly today. But it's short stories to understand how we relate to each other as humans in our friendships, in our romantic relationships, in our friendships as well. Yeah, I mentioned that. But yeah.
Do you think, I mean, there's always the question about, because I never used to like reading fiction. So I would always kind of read nonfiction books, because the thing is with nonfiction is like, you know exactly what the purpose of you reading the book is. You know, you would see like how to be productive. So, you know, okay, so this is something I'm having issues with, you know, and I want to sort of like learn from someone that knows something about it, you know, to kind of fix that, you know. But now it's like, usually, at first at least, like I did not see the reason why I should be reading like nonfiction books.
Yeah.
You know, because usually it's like you'd have a title and then you're not sure like what the book has, you know, you only get to know about it once you start reading the book. So it's kind of like you're taking a risk into reading the book, and usually most of the novels are kind of really big, you know. But
Yes.
I think the first time when I started writing, like I was trying to write a nonfiction piece, but with the nonfiction, you kind of, because you want to, with writing, you want to, you know, you want to write and you want to feel like it just comes, you know, not like you need to take a pause, research a little bit, and then try and meet standards, you know, make sure if it meets the standards that books should have, and that kind of feels like you flowing and you're cutting the flow, you know. Then I sort of like saw myself gravitating towards writing like nonfiction, because
Yes.
usually when you start writing, it just comes, you know. And but the thing is, even when it's nonfiction, I noticed that there's always sort of like a reason behind you writing it. I don't think you're just making up a story. It's sort of like something that you want to say, you know, but and I think you try and hide it in a story so that, you know, you don't get to just talk to someone like that, you know.
Yes.
It almost feels like you're exposing yourself when you just blatantly write, you know. So usually you write nonfiction, but you're trying to hide, you're trying to, I mean, you write fiction because you're trying to hide the nonfiction side of it, you know. So whenever now I hear someone saying like they read or they write nonfiction, I always try and see like what's the message that they're trying to hide in between, you know, what they write, you know.
Yes.
Is that how you write as well?
Yes. I would say that, yeah, that's actually perfect that you're saying that fiction is hiding a bigger message.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually more comfortable than writing nonfiction through. Yeah, I would say that is.
Yeah. What is the message that you're trying to, what books did you write so far?
Books,
Short stories?
short
Yeah.
stories, yeah. I have three short stories currently published, two are in Duke and one is in Kalahari Review. In all of them, there were different messages that I was, or rather questions. I don't really explore it from the point of view of a message I'm trying to get across. It's a question I'm trying to ask. So, in my latest short story, The Seasons of Beatrice and Catherine, I was, my question was, how can siblings remain together, connected as they were growing up, when they evolve, when they branch into different areas of their lives. And this is kind of drawn from my own life. I have two siblings as well, and we all are branching into different areas. And sometimes it's hard to relate to each other. So I wanted to explore that. And I don't think I did get the answer to my question, but it was a necessary exploration.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Where can people find the short stories?
On Duke.
On Duke.
Yes,
On Duke
it's a
website.
literary magazine.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, it's nice. Do you have any questions for me?
For you, what got you into reading and writing rather?
What got me into reading and writing? I don't know. I think um, writing it has the earliest forms of writing I can remember was when I was probably maybe 10, 12 years old. It has always been sort of like a thing, especially it started off like writing comics, comic strips, and writing songs, writing. It's like I had this fascination with words, So I'd always try and whenever there's like a cool story or something, or like a poem that's well written, it would be like a fascination for me. It's like it's a really good thing for some reason. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the default state for me. It's like to just write. Everything else just comes from that. I think it has like this creative side to it. And I think I'm a bit of a creative person, and that's like the easiest, like just default thing to do. It's just write. Yeah.
Did you always think you were a creative person?
I think so. I did. Always. Even when I took, at first I didn't know that tech and creativity sort of like work together, because once I started doing it, I would notice the classes that had theory were sort of like a bit draining, because you had to go home. I think I'm not as much of a disciplined person. I just like being spontaneous. When it comes to planning, it feels like something I need to get out of the way. So yeah, so all the theoretical stuff were kind of boring. Whenever it was practical, I would be like pushing it to the limit. Yeah. So there's that side of IT as well, where you're giving the ability to just create anything, so you can start coding, even though it looks like it's a bit technical. But I mean, if you look at it from the point of like, what can I do with this code, it's limited to your creativity. See. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm asking this question because I didn't think I was creative, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wasn't really good at art in school, and I just gravitated towards numbers and science.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only when I actually started writing that I saw that I do actually have a creative side.
Really?
And you can actually have both sides of the brain like activated or active.
Really? So when you were kids, you were interested in numbers?
Yeah, and science. Yeah.
And science. Okay, science. What side of science? Like, what about science interested you?
More in high school, chemistry.
Chemistry.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's creative, because chemistry, you mix molecules and then you don't know what comes out of them.
Perhaps.
Could be that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you have any final thoughts that you would want to? I always like asking, if you were to go back like 10 years, what would you advise people that find themselves in that state and that want to do what you're doing?
Okay, I would not change anything on my journey, but what I would do is actually ask for help, because I'm a very independent person, and that can also be a flaw, because I do need direction at times, and I did need direction in my career, but that asking for help, I just never did that. So I would definitely tell myself to just ask for help, be open to help as well, because it doesn't make you weak, and it can actually set you on the right path.
Come out of your shell, ask for help.
Yes.
Is it? Okay, cool. Thanks for actually making the time.
Thank you for having me.